We're going to talk about 5 undervalued altcoins in the BTC pair. These are interesting. So hi everyone, welcome to the channel. If you are new, subscribe, hit the bell button, leave a like and a comment, it does help. Thank you for joining me on my live last night, but we're going to crack on now. Had a bit of a dip in the market, what's looking good, what's looking healthy. I still think that there's a lot of undervalued altcoins at the moment, so definitely look at them. Some have had a bit of a surge, some have woken up, so we'll go through them. But yeah, I've got a list of 5 in front of me, not the most obvious as well, but I feel BTC values will look pretty tasty, especially because Bitcoin dominance is still relatively high, 61% currently. If it breaks below 60%, we may well get further runs to the upside from altcoins. High cap coins looking good for a breakout. That money spillover will make a big difference. So let's go to number 1, yeah? Iota, number 1. When you look at this chart, it looks disgusting, it looks filthy. This is the weekly time frame. We've got a long way to run, potentially a long way to run when you think about it, right? Iota, love it or hate it, it's up to you. Obviously, I'm giving you opportunities here. These are not, any picks that I kind of own, especially these ones. I will let you know which ones I do own. But at the end of the day, when you're looking at value and you're looking at like a sizable coin as well, this could create a few little rippling waves. So if I zoom in enough on this, you can kind of see it's not really moved yet, and it has had a little pop to the upside. So when we start zooming in, hello. So even when we look at this and we're thinking, are we going to get out of its rut? Maybe, may well be. Had a bit of a zip up. It's been very, very interesting. But when we start looking at RSIs, monster divergence kind of appearing here from the downside, looking pretty obvious, but starting to pull back up now. So we went obviously into some dangerous territory there for sellers to kind of get pretty much battered with that one. But I feel that this is undervalued. I think this is going to eventually turn around. So if we're looking at April 18 levels and a retracement, we could be looking at a very, very nice few levels where we could start finally getting above certain levels and making life a bit more interesting. So if we're starting to look at levels to kind of target here, we've obviously got this level here, this support and resistance level. We've pretty much closed above it right now, which is always good. So when we look at that, that is important. But when we think, where can it go? Well, when we think in logic here, that could be a monster move there, all the way up to 7,337 level, which is essentially from March 2019. We have been consolidating and dipping and diving in and around this low level when Bitcoin has been pretty dominant. If Bitcoin slows down a little bit and altcoins run, Iota will be one that will most likely get a little bit of interest when you look at the fact of the oversold situation here in terms of the RSI. It's starting to obviously trickle back up in confluence with the charting. So there's one that looks pretty damn obvious when we start thinking maybe it's obviously been a lot higher, but if we're looking at overall, there's multiple levels that it can penetrate and create some big moves. Looking at the USD side of it, we've had an explosion to the upside. That is obviously important, obviously with Bitcoin doing its run as well, but when we start looking at where it's been, that is vitally important to kind of get the fact that the BTC pair will most likely catch up as well. So definitely keep an eye on it. This doesn't have as much data on it, but obviously Bitcoin is a lot higher in price versus the previous levels. So you may well find you might grow a lot of Bitcoin in Iota. The next one is Tezos. Look at that. Tezos is looking unbelievable. So if we go back in terms of data from, we're back at the start really. We're back at the start. This has been all the way up here. When we start thinking retracements and stuff like that, if we go from this level here, let's just say, we've not even scratched the surface again. When we start looking at one level there, another level, another level, another level, there could be a 200, maybe even more percentage gains here on the offing when we start looking at retracements of this level. This is a monster move, and even when you zoom in, starting to slowly trickle back up, and we're starting to show potential bottoming here. So again, another one that's looking very, very healthy, very, very interesting. But this has had a horrendous year. When you think about it, the end of the year, end of 2020, it was doing really well at the start of the year, then it just nosedived massively. When we look at the USD pair, again, I charted this just beforehand. We've had an absolute turn of the ocean, essentially, looking really, really good. So that little spike has created nice price action. Can you imagine what's going to happen here if it does another 100% in BTC values? It would be absolutely crazy. So it's formed a high. It's opened a new candle. It's looking okay-ish. Had a bit of a dip in the night, obviously. But again, this could be an absolute monster of a run. There could be a potential cup and handle forming here if this is the dip. But this is obviously the weekly time frame, so it's not as clear cut for obvious reasons. But when you do go back and look at that BTC pair, you're thinking, oh my God, you know, Bitcoin dominance, yeah, it's high, cool. Bitcoin dominance, you know, Bitcoin's 4 times the price of where it was previously at those highs. Yeah, you may well get a run on this BTC pair. Even a run of 30%, for example, could be quite meaty for it. Moving on to the next one is Fetch.ai. Fetch.ai. Again, absolutely a monster of a run down to the downside, but there's a mainnet coming. A mainnet is coming in March. So that could get a lot of price action, and we're already seeing some sort of levels of turning around as well here. You know, a lot of coins are looking like this, trending up. Uptrends starting to appear on the weekly time frame, which is always quite strong. And you can see that the price action is looking pretty meaty already. Again, we've had a level, and it's found a level of support here on the 0238. It's 236, sorry, I can't read, sorry. But when you start thinking, well, can it go even higher? If it goes with the 618 levels or even retests and jumps above them levels, it may be a very, very nice one. We know that mainnets are really good. When we zoom out though, it's been a lot higher. It's been a lot higher. So may well be getting a retest. But even if we're retesting this level, it may be 100, 200, 300%, maybe even more when you look at it. When you look at the USD prices as well, we've had another run to the upside, looking pretty good. Again, USD prices will always be governed by what Bitcoin is doing. But again, for me, when you look at that BTC pair, if Bitcoin chills out and they just run, wow, it's going to get very, very interesting. We're going to have that parabolic phase that we've always been talking about. The next one, a one that I do own, RSR. RSR, in my opinion, is undervalued, not just so much for the charting, but the fundamentals, the developments. The mainnet is coming as well this year. So there's a lot of things happening. Still relatively cheap, and BTC price has been much higher, as you can see here. Even in the listing on Binance, as you can see, it's been much higher. It's been over 200 Satoshis. So we may well be looking at, if it does go to this top level, 109% move, but it actually could go way beyond that due to the fundamentals. It doesn't have much history. A lot of the other coins I've mentioned have had history. They've been around for a lot longer. They've been much higher. But when you think about this, I personally think looking very good. We've made an opening candle above this big monster support level and resistance level from the past. This has been support, as you can see here, but it's been a monster resistance level for ages, with finally what it appears to be broken above it and stayed above it for now. Will hopefully continue. But when you start thinking this is just a multiple level from the previous alt season, yeah, cool. It's only just started. This is only just started, and I'm very, very bullish on this long term. But it could be a good opportunity. This could be the start of the move. This is the impulse. Sorry, apologies. There we go. We've had a nice little pullback into the 618 twice, and we're off. Obviously, we've tapped that 0.27. But it may well actually continue going higher towards this previous level of resistance in the past, which we can look at and probably put a nice little cursor in and around that region, which is where we've kind of been in the past. So this is obviously going to be a confluence area where I can maybe do that a little bit further down, so it's got a bit more savvy. But for me, when you're looking at fundamentals, that looks pretty strong in terms of the product, the marketing, the backers, Coinbase Ventures involved, PayPal people involved, looking pretty toasty. So it's looking quite good. Obviously an uptrend has formed, looking nice. Looking at the USD prices of this, yeah, the uptrend is here. The uptrend is looking lovely, it's looking good. And again, look at that. If anyone doesn't believe how accurate the Fibonacci is, that is just a pinpoint precision there. The uptrend, the pullback, the push. We've had another pullback, so we could maybe adapt this now and go, well, this is the start of the move. This is the end of the move. But what's actually happened? This candle has already wicked into the 618 levels. Can we go even higher? Can we even reach 10 cents? If that, you know, in my opinion, if that BTC pair goes for it, that's going to hit 10 cents pretty quickly. Anyways, the last one. Have you guessed it yet? It is Reef. Reef, for obvious reasons, it has just started its cycle. It's starting an uptrend, as you can see. If I zoom in enough here, you can start seeing it is forming a small uptrend. It's very, very hard to see due to the fact of there's not much price data here, but that is an uptrend. We've had a push, pull back, pull. We've had another pull back, still forming some sort of trend. Not perfect, I know, but it's, there you go, you can see it in more detail now. So what we have actually got here, if we're starting from this move, maybe, you know, again, level of resistance level has been tapped. If we're going from the overall entire bottom to the top here, again, we found the level of support in and around that 382 region. So multiple levels throughout this is kind of on confluence, but we have no price data to give us any detailed information. However, we know how good it is in terms of the Polkadot ecosystem, in terms of what it's believing to be coming out, essentially much better throughput, less fees, interoperability with multiple chains. This could be the DeFi behemoth essentially of Polkadot, which is always going to be important. So it's still getting going. The good thing with this is it hasn't came out the blocks and roared out. It hasn't gone absolutely turbo. I think that will come in the next coming months, so just keep an eye on it. Again, multiple levels here to keep a look on, but a lot of these coins, in my opinion, are undervalued due to A, development, B, technicals look pretty good as well, and obviously the market is still strong. The dips have been bought massively and very, very aggressively. Even now when I'm watching and making this video, this has already went up quite a lot. We're starting to see in the last 24 hours, a lot of coins are starting to ramp up again, even though we've had quite a severe dip in the past, in the night essentially. Woke up at this morning, ridiculous levels of dipping, but they are recovering. You can see they're slowly starting to recover. Not everything has yet, but time now, 11:30 UK time, obviously you're watching this later, people are starting to gear up. It's looking pretty good, and you can see here Kusama as an example on Polkadot doing pretty well this morning. But anyways, done. Enjoy. Happy Monday. Hope you're well. And yeah, subscribe, hit the bell button, leave a like. See you again tomorrow.